Well, I don't judge. To each their own. Every garbage can has its lid.
Welcome to Gay Talk 2.0, the ultimate podcast for your dose of dish. Good evening and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Gay Talk 2.0, an LGBT podcast, streaming live on Digital Stream Radio, where you can access that live stream every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can do so by visiting digitalstreamradio.com. Today, we're going to be joined by Britt East, author of A Gay Man's Guide to Life, a part personal growth development manual, and the other part, a memoir. They join us after the second half of the show, of course. We're going to go through our spiel and do all of our good stuff, and then we'll bring them in. And of course, my name is Tom. I'm your host, and as always, I'm here with my amazing co-host, starting with the first one.
Hey, y'all, Nick or Trish.
She's a little red. And
good to be with you guys. It's Chris.
Rinse and repeat. And welcome you all to
The Dish. Fuck her. These headphones are fantastic.
They
though.
really are. Yeah.
So we've got new gear in the studio. Our old headphones, they're like, what,
I've
5
got
years
some
old?
Excess wires, but
Yeah.
it's okay.
They were about 5 years old, so it was time to get something new. I'm working on getting new mics for these two bitches so that, they can sound exceptional. Even though they do already, but
Does anybody really want to hear me at that level?
like accentuate your whininess.
I was going to say, we already have to hear Tom at that level.
Oh, she's nasty.
You nailed it.
Thank you.
I'm back.
So no, we've got an interesting show. We've got, this book again. It's a gay man's guide to life. That's interesting. And I want to, know a little bit more about the author and what this book really does. So we're going to definitely do that on the second half of the show. But right now, we're going to talk about weekends. We're going to talk about everything that's happened in the past week, and then we'll jump into some stories and then bring our guest. So I'm going to kick it off to my fellow co-host here around the table. She's busy, so I will throw it over to you.
Okay.
Trish, how are you?
I'm good.
I was just reading.
I know, but that's okay. I wanted you to finish.
For once in
Your
your
education
life.
is important.
No, I had a good week, a good weekend. Literally kind of relaxed most of it.
Right. And you're red. Why are you like lobster red right
I
now?
went away this weekend. I went to my good friend's, Paul's sister's house, and the first day I forgot to put on SPF until like it was far too late. And Paul's nephews, I touch my skin in the morning, and you can see that it's like changing color, right?
Yeah.
His oldest nephew was like, "Are you okay?"
Aw.
Like he's like all into boo-boos now.
Right.
Like he gets a little cut and like he's gonna die. You know what I mean? So he thinks like I'm like,
One big boo-boo.
yeah,
Honey, she right. You is one big boo-boo.
She's a huge boo-boo. I mean that with a lot of love.
I don't.
No, but it was a really good time. We
Just kidding.
fuck both of you. We had lobster. We hung out by the
Oh.
pool. It was just really nice to kind of just get away and have a good time. No one knew that I left.
I know. I looked at your location. I'm like, oh, she in New York.
I was like, I'm wondering why I haven't heard from her all weekend. And then,
Yeah, it was sort of impromptu.
like, so a lot of people don't know. We locate each other. So we gave each other permission to see where we're at all the time.
Big
And so
mistake.
no, not really.
On
So-
my part, big mistake.
No, because if you were ever in an emergency,
True,
you need
I
some
know.
help, I know exactly where you are. And so we know, and normally I don't check, right? And so I didn't check all weekend where this bitch was. So when she mentioned to me that she was away, I was like, oh, no wonder I didn't hear from you all weekend. And it's okay. But it's there for emergencies,
Mhm.
right? Like that one time that I had that hookup in Maine. Remember
Mhm.
that?
Yes. No. Yeah.
And you were like, I sent you a text message, bitch, you have my location. If I don't reach out to you in like 20 minutes, call the cops and send them to
I think it
this
was like a
address.
half hour.
Yeah, it
Give
was like
yourself
half
some
hour.
credit.
Even a half an hour is like cutting it a little short. Oh, my burp.
So, but yeah, and we do that. And we do that only because, we need to know.
And we used to go away a lot too.
Right.
And Chris wanders.
He does.
I wake up in different
Excessively.
places. Yeah.
Yeah.
But other than that, no, I had some kind of crappy news today and some great news that I want to share.
So please do.
So the crappy news is a job offer that I had was rescinded. So
Mhm.
I no longer have that job offer, which sucks a little bit, but it'll be fine. I'll figure it out, whatever. But on the other side, I am now a board member of the New Haven Pride Center.
Yay!
And I'm so excited to join the New Haven Pride Center. And I mean, like, Patrick has done such great work there.
Absolutely.
And just talking to them prior to the vote, like, they have such an amazing plan for the next 5 years, and I can't wait to be a part of it. Like,
And the programming is going to be great.
yeah, no,
Even amidst COVID. So you know that a lot of Pride centers had to shut down. They are really actively going out of their way to provide amazing programming for people and doing some online, like live chats to talk about how, Latinx and all these other communities, people of color, are being affected by some of the policies that currently exist.
and,
All of that.
yeah, and like right now, like funding for nonprofits, it's like impossible to get funding.
Right.
And the New Haven Pride Center right now is doing, because of Patrick, is doing so well that at the end of this year, they're going to be in a better place than they've ever been, which
It's
is
amazing.
crazy considering we're in COVID right now.
Right. Right.
I'm literally so thrilled to join the board and like also to be on a board. Like, it's just kind of awesome and crazy, but like it's yeah, I'm excited.
I'm happy for you. Congratulations.
I think you're going to do very good work there.
I think so.
I hope
You're
so.
very passionate.
But now I need to find like a paid job. But anyway.
Yeah, well, that's important, right? Because you need to pay the bills. But no, it's. I think that you're going to be an invaluable resource to them, and also a voice, right? We do it on the show every week. We talk about things that impact the community, and we advocate for people. We have, we showcase a lot of people in the LGBT community on our show, and so it's just an extension of what you already do every day, like every week, and now you get to do that on a scale that helps an entire community in a community that you live in.
Yeah, and I hope that I can like stand by Patrick. I mean, I feel like for a while he's needed somebody who's been in fundraising before to like really help. He's done a great job, but like to help grow the network for the Pride Center. So hopefully we can get some more sponsorships, some more board members. We just really help build it up in general. Like I'm just really excited, and I'm excited about Patrick's vision. I'm excited about all of it, and I think it's going to be a really great experience for me because I need to be passionate about what I'm doing.
Right.
And I'm definitely now passionate about the New Haven Pride Center.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I am a member of the Pride Center. I pay my dues every year, and every time I get an opportunity, we raise money for the Pride Center because I believe that the work that they do is important for our community. And so if you have a local LGBTQ center or space in your area, please support them. You have no idea how invaluable those resources are to small children or even youngsters that are looking for guidance or a place to just go and watch a movie. They have movie nights or
beyond that, I mean, like when COVID happened, the Pride Center, like every other organization, had to shift. And with everything going on and having to be quarantined and having to be home, a lot of these people and kids within the Pride Center that are part of the community, they didn't have the family that provides food. They didn't have the family that provides shelter or clothing
or support
and
for the fact that they are an LGBTQ member, right?
And so how they pivoted was finding funding to go shopping and make sure that they had stocked food at the Pride Center. So if people needed food, they could come get it. If people needed clothing, they could come get it. They did so much amazing work prior to the webinars and everything else that they're doing, the art shows and all of that. The care that goes into the community is beyond the education. Like my heart is 100% behind the care. The fact that they pivoted to make sure every single person they could feed was fed.
And it's also important to point out, yes, of course, it's invaluable, the amount of work that's being put in for the youngsters that we were saying or you were discussing, but it's also there as a resource for parents who are not quite sure, how can I support my child to the best of my abilities, whether they be lesbian, gay, bisexual, or if they're transitioning, which is so important. We've had guest parents who have talked about it, even Mama Kim.
Mm-hmm.
We've had many people who have reached out to their local pride centers to figure out how they can be the most supportive parent for their child.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And very quickly, speaking of Mama Kim, I would like to wish her and her family
And everybody.
well, and everyone in the state of California who are going through some incredibly treacherous and horrible fires. Mama Kim is safe, and I really don't want to give too many details of her personal issues or what's happening, but she is safe, and we're grateful for that. And we just want to send everyone out in California that are going through these wildfires a big hug, and our sincere, like, we're praying for you, because it is impactful. It's impactful for everyone that loses their home
Mhm.
to fires and not have a place to stay. But we're grateful that she's okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
We
So
love you,
anyway,
Mama Kim.
And
We do.
I don't
I want-
remember if I thanked her. Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to say one more thing.
Please.
I just want. So obviously, joining the board, whatever. So we all know now the New Haven Pride Center, we're going to be a little bit more intertwined with them. We're going to be more involved with them, and we'll see how that evolves. But I'm excited to embark on this journey, not only being on the board, but with you guys as well.
Yeah, we're on your side. We're on the side of the Pride Center. We're
Absolutely. We always have been.
Right.
Patrick is a long-standing member or guest here on our show, and the work that he's doing is just incredible.
Yeah,
We're
he's a
super
gay
proud of him.
talker.
That's
here.
right.
He is.
Always will be.
Yeah, you can't get away.
So Christopher,
I mean, I tried to escape so many times, and here I am.
vote.
Vote. Always.
Rinse and repeat. Vote.
I didn't think that far through. I'm never wearing this shirt again.
Well, that's
Just kidding. It's happening. I'm still wearing this shirt.
where's our gear? You said you ordered gear for us.
It's not here yet. Apparently, I'm not the only person who supports Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as the next president and vice president of the United
Like,
States.
Why not?
Yeah, exactly. So
Wait, what?
it was
Cut.
okay. So a lot of the merchandise it takes time.
ordered?
Yeah, it takes time.
It's
So
okay.
it will be coming in. I definitely spent.
I want a pin so I can hang it over my nipple ring.
There you go. I got pins for us to choose from. I bought a really cool T-shirt. I bought yard signs. I
Do
bought
I have to put one up
bumper
in front of
stickers.
my house?
I was going to put one for you anyway.
Okay. I'll do it.
You don't
I'll
have
do
a
it.
choice.
Yeah, exactly. No, I pretty much went through Oh, I got a Biden Harris face mask. Oh, I got so much stuff. I'm all in. And to add to the other two bumper stickers I have
Balls
in my car already.
He's
That's
balls
right.
Deep.
That's right.
So how was your weekend?
Well, it was good. I just wanted to say, since we were talking about Mama Kim, because I'm not sure if I thanked her already, but I did want to thank her for the Canadian bear that she made me.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
And
you got a unicorn. did
And
you
my
not?
penguins.
That's
right.
right. They're up
no,
there.
my penguins are up there.
Yeah,
and
the
I got a
penguin's right
unicorn.
there. And
That was separate.
Tom's got little Fitzy, right?
That's right. I got a little replica of my beloved Fitzgerald.
hmm And so Mama Kim sent me a little one that had like a Canadian shirt, and I named him Hallie because one week from today I was supposed to actually be going to Halifax. So I thought that was a
Hallie.
cute little name for him.
Okay.
But that trip will take place another time. Do you need me to pick up one of your eyes? You just rolled them so hard, Trish.
No, it's okay.
Did one roll out?
Captain Moose Knuckle, I got it myself, okay? I got it.
I cannot.
Anywho, no, I've been doing okay, trying to stay busy, trying to learn more about this new diet that I have to
Oh, yeah.
really live by.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, it's not like life altering, but it is a little bit of a life change.
Well, I mean, it makes so much sense because we've been dealing with this bullshit for so long.
yeah, for
And
about
I mean, like you, but like
yes,
we.
exactly, absolutely.
So
yeah, no, for about 25 years of my life, I've been wanting to tear my insides out. Well, it turns out I have celiac disease, which about 1 in 120 21 Americans have. So I have a very intense allergy to gluten, and that's found wheat and rye and other products.
And
But
no
it's-
beer
are you
for
still
you.
lactose intolerant as well? Or
see,
was
now I'm
that-
wondering if that's not even because I never
Okay.
was. I don't even know if there's an actual test for lactose intolerance. I just had a doctor to say you're obviously lactose
Right.
intolerant. So what I would do is just take lactose pills. But now I'm cutting out the wheat completely. But I'm also cutting dairy out too to try to.
So maybe we should find gluten-free cheese because it
Well,
exists.
yesterday I made a gluten-free pizza. It's gluten-free and lactose-free and soy-free. It was really good, actually. It wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad. Okay, it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. I mean, I could still eat pizza. But yeah, no, it got to the point where like I was looking at my chart and I can't have French fries unless they're fried in their own fryer. Like if chicken tenders go in the French fry fryer, I can't have those. If I order gluten-free pasta, it can't be boiled in the same water as regular pasta. That's how sensitive my stomach is. My villi are probably non-existent in my upper GI tract. So
This makes so much sense. Like literally.
I was hoping it was this just so I finally had an answer. And it's not the end of the world. It's not like I
No,
was.
it's manageable.
No,
It
and now you
is.
can probably bottom better.
Exactly.
I did lose 9 pounds in about 9 days.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm down 9 pounds.
By bottoming?
No, from vomiting
I was
quite
like, wait a
often.
minute, because I just needed to make sure we had the reference correctly. Okay.
Yeah, well, it turns out I was doing really well. I was poisoning myself because the melatonin I was taking had wheat in it.
Ooh.
God.
Yeah, so I wanted to take one 2 nights ago because I was in so much pain. I just wanted to fall asleep. And then I looked at the bottom like, son of a bitch. I was taking it for 5 straight nights.
So
Oh.
for our listeners, right? I think that this is kind of an important message. Like what prompted you? Like what were you feeling? How did it make you feel? Like what prompted you to finally go get the blood work done and say like I need to make sure that I like what is going on with my body.
Yeah, and this might be other people might be going through this. And for our listeners, I would love for you to. This is new to me. This is something I'm learning what I can and can't have. I've recently learned. I'm sure there are certain ones, but I can't have soy sauce. Like so many things that you don't know contain gluten.
Mhm.
Do contain gluten. So any of our listeners, if you want to reach out, give me some advice. I appreciate it. Brands of things that are good. So I'd always had stomach issues my entire life. I was always hospitalized as a young kid, bad stomach issues. And when COVID hit, when the quarantine really began, ever since then, I was vomiting like actual vomit coming up, not just dry heave, 3 to 5 times a day
Ooh.
for about 5 straight months.
No wonder she lost 9 pounds. Here I was thinking she was having sex.
No, I couldn't.
Burning off all those calories.
I couldn't keep anything down.
Right.
So that's
But why?
because we're in quarantine. I'm sitting home. I'm eating sandwiches all the time. Like,
Okay.
all right, I just had some pasta, but I don't got to do anything else. Let's have a fucking sandwich. So I was
Yeah.
just really overloading and
Oh, yeah. she
gluten. Oh yeah,
was.
we all put on those quarantine pounds. It happened.
Working
Except
on it.
yeah, exactly. So it got to the point where I was like, I can't keep missing work. I was going home in the middle of my shifts because I felt like absolute death. And we finally got the blood test done. We also checked for like H. pylori, which is a bacterial infection that takes place in the upper GI tract.
Which is also plausible for you.
I see we have a doctor on the show.
Uh,
So yeah, no, I
Dr. She.
That's right. So I just finally got checked out and we got the ball rolling. I'm now seeing a primary care. I go to the GI on Friday. We'll set up my appointment so I can get spit roasted. They're gonna go. Dr. G only had the pleasure of going in the bottom of me. This doctor's gonna have the pleasure of going in both sides. So that'll be fun. Yeah. So that, and then along with that, school starts on Wednesday. I did decide to take some classes online. Applying for some extra jobs, and I want to talk about that on air. Good jobs, not like whoring myself. And if you do whore yourself, I'm not saying that's not a respectable career. I'm not here to judge.
No, it's one of the oldest ones.
Like we said.
Exactly. Every trash can has its lid or something like
Exactly.
that. Right? See, but now it sounded worse because now, okay.
100%.
All right. In my head, I was like, if I could bring it back to the opener, it didn't work out.
No, so that was about WAP, which
That was
is
about Wet Ass Pussy from Cardi B.
It's a new
and
song.
Cool. Well, I'm
Yeah.
done, so y'all can take it away.
and Leslie Jordan posted this video, listening to it for the first time, and he's like,
Oh my God. Oh.
he's like,
Oh, goodness gracious.
well, I mean, I don't judge. To each their own. Every garbage can has its own lid. And I died. I literally almost, it took me a half hour to recover from that comment.
That's pretty hilarious.
Oh,
Yeah, no.
I can't.
He, literally reinvigorated his career because of COVID.
Oh, he's amazing though. I love him. So have you ever seen him live?
No.
He is like me. He sweats like a fucking pig. So I saw him in Provincetown.
Well, you guys were born about the same year.
Yeah, pretty much. Nasty. No, so I saw him in Town Hall in Provincetown when I was up there one year, and oh my God, literally, he was drenched right here on the side. His armpits were sweating so much, he was so nervous. But his show was amazing. Far better than Rue McCallaghan. before she passed away, she did a show in P-Town, and people were thinking she was going to come on stage and do all this amazing stuff and, and talk about her experience on the Golden Girls and throw some jabbers. She got on stage. No one knew she was going to do this. Opened up a fucking book, a memoir that she had just written, and started reading.
Wait, is she the
What?
one that would go around on a rascal?
No, that
Rue-
was Blanche.
She was
Oh.
the like slutty one.
Yeah, Blanche on the Golden Girls.
Oh no, I was talking about
Those-
the drag queen that would go to P-Town on a rascal.
We're talking about the Golden.
Oh,
I don't know
no,
who any of these people you guys are talking
no,
about
you're
are.
talking about Miss Richfield.
You don't
right?
know
thank
the
you. I know
Golden
who
Girl?
Blanche is. I know there's a Blanche. I know that Betty White is
Sophia.
one of them.
Betty is
1 year older than
Rose.
sliced bread.
Uh-huh. No, but so
never
Rue
watched that
Callahan was
show.
the one that played Blanche. Let me tell you, I had never seen a room of gay men be ready to rip someone's head off because they were not expecting to be read to. I was like, bitch, I could do that on my seat at the hotel all by myself. I could open the book and read. I wanted you to be funny. Right before she passed, it was vicious.
She do what she want.
Well, yeah, you do what you want, but they were expecting more and they got less, and they weren't happy.
You know, I have to say something. I don't know if I've watched a lot of the Golden Girls. I'm
Uh-huh.
sure you have. Chris clearly hasn't.
They were clearly ahead of their time.
Exactly my point. There was literally an episode about, pretty much about BLM. Black Lives Matter,
Mm-hmm.
and it was almost like an educational episode for Blanche, where she was hosting a party and hosting a party for, I think, her uncle or something like that.
Right.
And
He had an admiration for the Confederate flag.
but the three girls had a friend, and the friend was, of course, African American, and he came and he kind of explained to her like why are you doing this? And she was like, well, I mean, this is for him, not anybody else. And then this person said,
And it's a Southern pride thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, and we're talking about going back to like mid 90s
Mhm.
and, these episodes were airing, but they were extremely, I mean, they had episodes touching on gay people and
Mhm.
acceptance and
divorce,
yeah, it was really progressive.
Sexuality for
its
women.
time. Right, exactly.
like everything. It was pretty amazing. But what blew my mind is by the end of the episode, um, you see her, Blanche. She learned something. She
Yeah.
realized that she was hurting people,
Right.
and she took the time to take down the flag, apologize to her friend, and thank that friend
Right.
for educating her. And we talk about that on the show all the time. We talk about those conversations you have with individuals and how those are the ones that make the difference.
Right.
Like
Right.
staying
Well,
silent doesn't make the difference.
I mean, on TV, they make it sound like it's, oh, yeah, you're going to go through an uncomfortable conversation and things
Yeah,
end
I
up
can't
sort of kind of turning around and being what it is. That's not necessarily the case, and especially in today's very partisan, political arena, and where you've got a president that publicly advocates for
You're not wrong.
racism and
Right.
xenophobia and all of these other things, like really straight out and not even apologize for it. And then you've got the other half, or the majority of America, that's really wanting to see progressive change. And it's a very, very unique place to be in because we can't find a middle ground.
Well,
anywhere.
it's a tough saying, but I truly do stand by it. Remember, silence is complicity.
Right, and it's true, If you don't speak up and say something,
It's no different. It's the bystander effect.
yeah, you can't really be upset for not really being the change that you want to see in the world.
And to add a caveat to that, because
Yes.
I always do this,
Of course,
if you are in a place where you cannot speak up,
don't.
and that's not your fault.
Mhm.
Right.
Which is why
You
I
will
said
find
it's
your-
a tough.
Yeah.
It's a tough quote
You
to
will
stand
find your
by.
voice and you will find your space,
Yeah.
literally.
Of course.
So,
I mean, if your life is threatened in any way, by you being honest with yourself and others, then don't be honest.
And if you do have the luxury to have that voice, use it for those who don't have it. Like we try our
Absolutely.
best to do, and so many other people do.
Absolutely.
If you have the platform, use that platform. If you got your soapbox, just ask Trish nicely. She'll step off for one moment, and you use that
you
for a
just-
moment.
Yeah,
So
just
speak
for-
quickly.
just for a little bit. So listen, guys. This was an amazing conversation talking about weekends and issues and things that are happening. We didn't get to some of the stories that we have lined up for you. maybe we'll get to them after our guest, but we do have a guest that's coming on in the second half of the show, which means that now we do have to take a break and leave you with some music. And when we come back, we will have our guest, Britt East. Here's some music. Well, we will be right back.
Ready now to face the day. Done with fears of yesterday. Waited long enough to say I'm on the way. I'm on the way. I believe. I believe. There is more to me than surface. I believe. I believe. Greeted by a new sunrise. Tomorrow's hopes are in my eyes. Paints horizons in the sky that's meant for me. Meant for me. I believe in love at first sight. 'Cause some things are worth the fight. And some you learn to say goodbye, like letting go. I believe. I believe. I believe. There is more to me than surface. I believe. I believe. I believe.
She was waiting by the back door, said, babe, we gotta leave town. Get your shit, get your suitcase, your dog, your guitar, 'cause we gotta go now, 'cause they're coming. Well, they know our fucking names, yes, they're coming, just the same. Well, I know you don't want to leave your life. You've had some blood and tears, little joy, little strife, but they're coming. Well, they're coming down the road, yes, they're coming, truth be told. And don't forget the whiskey, and don't forget your history. It was never their land in the first place, but they're coming just the same. Got a knapsack full of judgment, hypocrisy, and lies. And they're talking so much hateful bullshit, they've begun to gather flies. But they're coming. Well, don't look 'em in the eyes. Yes, they're coming. No surprise. And with so much terror in our past, how are you so surprised it's come to bite you in the ass? Yes, it's coming. Well, it's nipping at your heels. Yes, it's coming for the kill. And don't forget the whiskey, and don't forget your history. I'll meet you at the station where we can get on that train. Head out to the wastelands where we can change our names. 'Cause they're coming. Well, they know our fucking names. Yes, they're coming. Just the same. Just the same. Just the same. Just the same.
Welcome back from the break, ladies and gentlemen. That, of course, was Wastelands by Amanda Perrick, a previous guest of ours. Her new album, Wastelands, came out on July 31st. We always make sure to play our artist music because we want you to listen to the amazing work that people do when they come on our show and just present. And the song, the album, it's a spoken word album along with music. It is just incredible. But make sure that you go check it out and get it. It is available on all of your major streaming services. Joining us now, of course, is our guest for tonight, for this evening. Of course, it is Britt East. He is the author of A Gay Man's Guide to Life. We're super excited to have him here with us. Thank you for joining us and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a thrill to be with you.
When we got the copy of the book, we were like, okay, this is a gay man's guide to life. Okay, we're going to
Figure out how to live.
figure out and do all of that good stuff. So we've got questions, and obviously we'll get into that. But before we do, I'm going to let these folks around the table go around and sort of kind of introduce themselves so that you know who you're talking to. And then we'll want to hear a little bit about you. So why don't you start off?
Hey, so I'm the one that emails you all the time. I'm Nick or Trish.
My name is Tom.
Hi, I'm Chris. Nice to meet you officially. Before we get started, though, what is your shirt?
Oh, I have a dear friend who owns an online t-shirt company, and they're a little bit irreverent, and this one is sort of apologizing in multiple languages for our president.
That's fantastic.
Okay.
Now
I
have
love
to.
it.
I'm going to show you mine now so you can see it.
Oh, love it. That's great.
I saw yours right away, and I was like, I like
Did you
this guy.
plan that shirt, or was that just like happenstance?
It's just in the rotation, no planning.
That's
Very
amazing.
good. Very
Love
good.
it.
Pleasure
Love
to
it.
meet you. Pleasure to have you with us.
So this is
Thank you.
Chris, and again, we have our guest Britt East here joining us. He's the author, again, as we mentioned before, of A Gay Man's Guide to Life. Britt, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and
Well-
so that our listeners know who you are.
Absolutely. So I'm 45 years old. I live in Seattle with my husband and our wackadoodle dog. And this is my first book that I've written, and it was about 20 years in the making. So I'm so thrilled for it to be born and see the light of day, and so I can share it with you fine folks.
So first and foremost, congratulations on your first book. It's, I'm sure, an accomplishment for someone who writes a book, right? It's one of the best things or the best news that you can get is that when you send it out to be published, is like, yeah, we have a date for you. We're going to release your book, and here it is.
Yeah.
First things first, what was it like when you got that first copy?
Oh, the whole thing has been surreal. You know, I started actually writing the book in April of last year. So that process has been really fast. I mean, beyond my wildest dreams. The 20-year reference was kind of how long it's been since I've been marinating on this topic and really started my spiritual personal growth and development journey. So to see it in my hands, I mean, people have been telling me I should do this for 2 decades, and to see it in my hands is just this surreal experience. And everything is happening so fast. I have to consciously find moments of peace and quiet to reflect on what I've done, what I've brought forth into the world, and all of the support that I've received. And it's really overwhelming. And but it's such a whirlwind that I have to like carve out those moments. Otherwise, it's just a blur.
So I'm in the process of reading the book. We get a lot of books, so trying to keep up is
Bear with
hard.
us.
But that being said, you start this off saying that this book is for gay men by a gay man. Though certainly anyone is welcome to read it, and most of the concepts that I present apply to all of us. But why is that so important? That this book is literally for gay men.
Damn it, we deserve it.
Yes.
Preach!
Get back at class. Yes,
You
absolutely.
know, we have been translating and doing backflips for generations to make other people's content fit our lives. And so I make no bones about the fact that I wrote this with us in mind and using our language and our cultural reference point. So yes, people can apply the concepts regardless of their walk of life, but now they get to do those backflips. They get to do that translating because I use our language in this
Right.
book.
So the title in itself, A Gay Man's Guide to Life, right? What your experiences, what you went through in life, you're writing down in a book. It's a part memoir, but it's also a how-to guide, right? It's here's what you can do while you're away.
Yeah, it's hey, try not to make all the mistakes I made. And
Okay.
it's sort of like if you had an older brother and you were doing some really dumb things and your older brother beat you up a little bit and gave you some words of wisdom. That's how I kind of see the book. It's a bit of a beat down. We have s- through no fault of our own, through the bigotry foisted on us by straight America, we have been living a series of lies. And we have got to stop. The world needs us. We
100%,
are
yeah.
we are essential. And so we have got to wake up and take charge of our lives. And for many of us, because we were denied the foundational support systems, the educational tools, the rites of passage, the ceremonies, the traditions, the mentoring, whether it's through homophobia or the deaths due to the AIDS epidemic, we have got to take that work on ourselves. And it's not fair, but we've still got to do it.
We talk on the show a lot about why I and each individual thinks, homosexuality is still a thing, and why, over history it hasn't died out, or whatever, humanity hasn't gotten rid of it. That being said, you said that we are essential. What do you mean by that? Can you expand on that?
Yeah. My favorite theory, and these are just theories, evolutionaries, sociologists will be arguing about this for decades, but my favorite theory is that gay men inject more love into communities by our very existence, that we are the healers, the shamans, and build bridges, and that communities fare better with us in them,
Right.
just from an evolutionary natural selection standpoint. Now, that I can't sit here and say I can prove that on the show. That's just a theory that happens to be my favorite theory. And there are all types of gay men out there. We're not all shamans. We're not all one thing or another. What is essential is our culture, and that culture is made up of a collection of people, and that collection of people is each and every damn one of us.
Right.
Hmm.
Right.
None of us can be left behind, regardless of what flavor of gay we practice,
Right.
regardless of who we are. We are all required. We are all part of this rainbow, and the world needs more rainbows now more than ever.
Agreed. I mean,
Agreed.
in his life, there is nothing but rainbows, right? So if I could
You're
have
not
a
wrong.
rainbow painted above his seat here, he would have it. No, but I wanted to go back to that comment and say, that we are essential, right? Think about, like, for example, in real estate, right? When you have a gay couple move into your neighborhood, your property value increases instantly. Why? Because we
Because
do
Dom's there.
yeah, handy homos here. Because we know how to just make things look amazing and beautiful. Obviously, not every gay person or every person in the LGBT community has that talent, but for the most part, we thrive or we strive to make sure that we present a really, really amazing
Hmm.
facade. And so,
Oh, not facade, I wouldn't say. But also, like you said,
well, it could
amazing
be.
and beautiful, but at the same time, it's more inviting and welcoming.
Agreed.
Yep.
Also, and so when you say that, and when you look at it in the context of what we bring to society, aside from our decorating skills, because we're awesome,
I can't
it's
decorate for shit.
there's that's okay, but you
He
work
has a
at it.
wall of clocks.
Um,
I like clocks.
what I'm trying to say is that for the most part, as gay men or women, lesbian, or any member of the LGBT community for that matter, we make an effort to ensure that those who are around us feel comfortable, and we like to make sure that our surroundings are comfortable and that we create and foster spaces that are warm and welcoming and loving, and I think that that just radiates in all aspects of life. So you're right, we
I,
are essential.
I think you're right too, and I think it literally just speaks to the TED Talk I always bring up, and I'm not going to go into it right now because that
Please
would
do
take
not.
too long. But literally, what you're saying right now kind of like embodies the fact that homosexuality infuses emotional intelligence into a community that needs it. It
Right.
really breeds love and care into a community that may or may not have it. You know what I mean? That's what I think. That's what I think homosexuality is still around for and will still be here for. But that being said, you had said also too earlier that you think that this book is so that people don't repeat your mistakes. I don't necessarily feel like I agree with that statement because I feel like you were born and bred a certain way. And so your mistakes were not yours to choose almost. I wonder if you would like to expand on that a little bit.
Sure. I first got real in the 12-step program. And that is a program where you earn social currency through how raw you're willing to be and how much you're willing to own. So I hear you. I tend to err on the side of owning as much of my harm as I can. Um, I'm under no illusions that whether it was through the child abuse I experienced at the hands of my family or the bigotry I experienced at the hands of straight people, that there was a lot of cards stacked against me in this deck. And unfortunately, what I did with those cards is I weaponized my pain, and I used that to cause real harm that I own.
Mm-hmm.
And I own the consequences of that, not as a matter of blame or shame, but as a matter of honesty. And like they say in the 12 steps, the fearless moral inventory. I have to start somewhere. I have to name all the harm that I've caused so I can see that it has a beginning, a middle, and an ending.
Mm-hmm.
It is not infinite. And so this is what I have done, and that is what I have not done.
Mm-hmm.
And thereby, I can take control over my life. I can apologize, I can make amends, and then move the hell on.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right. So when you decided to finally sit down and pen this book, what was the definitive moment that you said, okay, you know what? My friends have been telling me for a while to do it. Everyone's telling me do it, do it. You know, you've got 20 years behind you that you can literally sit down and pen this. What was the definitive moment in your process, in your journey, that you finally said, okay, you know what? I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do this and put it on ink.
I had felt really hesitant for years about monetizing my memoir.
Mm-hmm.
It just felt icky. And that's no judgment about anybody else. That's for some reason I just didn't like it, and I don't even know that I understand why. I just know that I didn't like it, and so I hemmed and hawed, and I didn't want to do it. And I was working with a life coach, and what I realized in my work with him was that I I could make the reader the hero of the story,
And how did you
and
do that?
by focusing on their pain,
Okay.
by focusing on what they have a story. So I include my story a lot at the front and then intersperse it in the succeeding chapters as a way to gain their confidence, as a way to build credibility. Um, but really, the reader is the ultimate focus of the work.
Right.
I just want to be the family that maybe that reader never had, in case they need a leg up, in case they didn't learn what they needed to in school for all sorts of reasons, or at home for all sorts of reasons, or in the internet for all, in the entertainment internet space for all sorts of reasons. I just wanted to bridge that gap,
Hmm.
and that helped me feel less icky about the whole thing.
Right.
Nope. God.
So in essence, what I'm understanding is, you wanted to set a set of, here's how to deal with XYZ, and here's what happened to me, so that
Yeah,
you know that what I'm telling you is something that either I've experienced or practiced or I have
right.
done that worked for me, and that you could possibly use in your life to, help yourself in some way.
Exactly, exactly. And um, so the reader would not feel so alone. I
Right.
mean, because of all sorts of social dynamics, starting with the fact that it was illegal for us to congregate literally for generations,
Hmm.
we've lived cloistered lives. And social media, ironically, has only exacerbated that, especially with our cultural transactional nature to sex and coupling and partnering. And so we tend to wear masks as a community and to slink in the shadows metaphorically. And so by exposing some of the deepest, darkest truths about myself, my behavior, my choices, I hoped that the reader might feel a little less alone.
Hmm. Yeah, in the book, you talk a lot about your therapist and your life coach. Um, I'm interested to talk about the stigma around that, right? I feel like there are a lot of not just men, but in general, there are a lot of people that have this stigma around seeing a therapist, getting a life coach, but that really helped you. It helped you with your family. It helped you with a lot of issues surrounding love and relationships. And I was wondering if you wouldn't mind talking a little bit about that and why it was important to share that in your book.
Yeah, that definitely is because so many people, when they think about seeing a therapist, it's like that means there's something wrong. There's innately something wrong, and
Right.
that's not even close to the fact.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And people see therapists for all sorts of reasons. And,
Right.
it was just real obvious to me that I needed help. And I mean, like, I'm not an electrician. If there were electrical wiring issues in my house, I wouldn't try and do that myself.
Right.
Not a plumber. I wouldn't try plumbing myself. You know, so I would call an expert. And that's one of the underlying themes in the book is you're not alone. You can hire expertise. You can source expertise. You can create a team of people to help you along the path and augment your friends, your family, your other relational support network. So for me, I needed a therapist to help me understand my story and somebody
Right.
who could hold the entirety of that story. So, the kind of therapy I've been drawn to is a very relational modality. Um, and um, it's almost like hiring a brother or a sister in a lot of ways, or a parent. I just needed to be re-raised,
Hmm.
frankly. I
Right.
was not properly parented. And that's not something you can get from, a movie. That's not something you can just sit down and do for yourself. That you have to be joined in your story. You have to be heard. There's a benevolent witnessing that happens that creates some sort of a spiritual bond that is required to then move on. All of this is in the name of closure and moving on. And then the life coach was different. The life coach was more about putting attitude into action, whereas my therapist is like a long arc, listening to the entirety of my story. My life coach is more about, okay, what are your goals? What is
Right.
your mission? What is your purpose? And how can we identify those whatever perceived obstacles you think are standing or in your way and plow through them.
I That's beautiful and important to hear. I'm wondering if we can dive a little deeper, and if you don't want to, we don't have to, but dive a little deeper as to that moment, right? Because you hear about it in the book. You don't have to be explicit about what happened, but we don't want people to get to that moment, right? That you experienced.
Ah,
Um,
okay, yeah.
right? So how does one if they're not going to read the book, if they do read the book, because this is it, in my opinion, in reading it and going through it, it's sort of like a self-help um, guide to gay men's life a little bit. Um, but how do we identify
Or recognize.
that we need to speak to somebody or deal with something prior
Gotcha.
to that moment.
Right.
You know, it's funny because before you led me to right here, this moment is so far in the past of my consciousness, I forget about it, which is a wonderful thing. So,
Right.
what he's alluding to is the fact that I tried to kill myself. And this was in my freshman year of college. And so it just became really clear that I needed some help. And luckily, in my school, I was able to get it for free. There was graduate students who need doing internship or something. They need some number of hours of treatment practice, and so I was able to get it for free, and that was my first introduction. So the point is, I was introduced to it really young and normalized it really quickly. So we like you're saying, we don't want the listeners to have to make those mistakes and get all the way there. Hopefully, we can recognize the signs earlier. I think the key here is if looking back on my life, there were so many milestones that went missed along my emotional journey to that moment, starting with isolating behavior, fantasizing about my own death. Um, Prolonged periods of depression where I struggled to maintain healthy relationships, but mm, um, even stoke the desire to reach for others. It's almost like I lost my taste for the milk of human kindness.
And do you think a lot of that stems from the fact that you grew up in a rural area with a family that wasn't necessarily supportive? Like, I think that is really important. We have a lot of listeners in Middle America. We have a lot of listeners in countries that actually can't be out and proud.
Or
And
outlaw homosexuality
yeah,
straight out.
and I think that it's really important to kind of acknowledge your background a little bit, because the
Yeah.
reality is at one point you had to say goodbye to your family.
Absolutely. So I grew up in 1980s Tennessee.
Wow.
And if you're not familiar with that, you can often kind of assume the level of trauma a gay man has endured based upon their geography and their age. And so I grew up in the shadow of AIDS, not in the middle of the crisis, but just after it, where sex equaled death, and it was some exotic, terrifying death. And it was like growing up in oblivion because the gay culture was entirely underground, which was great. But if you were a kid, it meant that you didn't have easy access to it, and this was, of
Right.
course, pre-internet. So there was intense amount of isolation, and then heaped on top of that was all the trauma of the child abuse I endured that was not related at all to my homosexuality.
Hmm.
So it was all kind of roiling in this stew of self-hate. A lot of it, as you imply, was geographically driven, just because of access to resources and awareness just wasn't there. And I'm sure it's changed dramatically since I've been there, but it just wasn't there. And there's obviously places all over the world that where you face similar challenges. And all I can tell you is that each of us has to fight for our own mental health. In a world steeped in straight supremacy, everyone makes homophobic choices from time to time, even gay people, even against themselves.
Hmm. Yeah.
And
And we have to fight for our own mental health.
that's evident clearly. I mean, when I look at some of the social media posts that are happening and how people interact with each other, how negative we are in our community towards other members of our community. For example, the trans community, or for example, people of color, and how disenfranchised they are in even safe spaces, right? Spaces that we deem should be safe. It is incredibly alarming to see the toxicity that exists within our own community when we have already experienced so much
Yeah.
of it without even having to contribute to it.
Yeah, I have all sorts of theories of this, which I spend a lot of time going through in the book because I think it's so important. But I will say that, if it could be quantified when it comes to things like racism and misogyny, I just feel like we're the worst.
Yeah.
I've just got to be honest. I just feel like and I think there's all sorts of reasons behind that. But we have to be honest that if you are a cisgendered white gay man, you have more social power than just about any other segment of society. And so we have to be leading the charge for anti-racism, anti-misogyny, anti-transphobia, all of it across the board. We have to be leading that charge, but we're not. We're more worried about cocaine and hooking up.
Exactly.
And so we've got to wake up.
And it doesn't seem to prove more evident than in the most, what we call small, tight knit communities. When you look at a community that we live in, that's so prevalent. It
Right.
really is. And those ones that we claim to be such a tight knit community, but at the same time, like you said, sex and drugs sometimes trumps everything that all the love that we're preaching.
Sex for sure, yeah. That
God
being
damn it,
said,
Trish.
I know, I'm sorry. I don't mean to ruin it. That being said, I do have two more things that I want to ask you about before we wrap this up, because I feel like this has kind of been a heavy conversation. I think that your book inspires, as well as brings reality to its readers. And that being said, I wanted you to talk a little bit about your process of finding love throughout your life, because I know you finally did it, and you're still connected to some people in your past. But I think it's important to acknowledge the fact that through all the work that you've gone through and put yourself through, you've been able to actually, find that person and find love.
Yeah, absolutely. I am married. I've been married. I've been, who knows how long I've been married with the legal changes and everything. I mean, I can't even tell you. But we've been together for 11 years now. And our marriage is like most people's marriage in that it is a lot of work. But I am so fortunate and thrilled to have had this opportunity. When I think about the legions of men who never knew this moment, it breaks my heart.
Mhm.
And that's why it's so important that we keep fighting. Um, you know, when it comes to finding love as a gay man, you've got to fight for it, just like anything else. And you've got to start with yourself. You've got to fight for that twinkle in your eye. You've got to learn how to delight in your own inner beauty.
Hmm.
That's what radiance is. And if you don't have that twinkle in your eye, you're going to struggle to find a date. You're going to struggle to find love. We've heard the cliche 1,000 times. You've got to learn to love yourself. But we're still working on that as gay men. We've got to internalize that. We're still grappling with the beauty myth. We're still grappling with internalized homophobia. We're still grappling with a saturation of straight male glorified imagery. We've got a lot of self-love to do, and that's how you're going to find love. And that's certainly how I found love, by hiring experts and doing a lot of hard work. I learned to fall in love with myself.
Mhm.
Hmm.
What do you
And that's
say?
not narcissistic, that's requisite, that's
No, that
required
no,
before you go out and find
Agreed.
love.
100%. I agree with
Absolutely
you.
agreed.
What do you say to those individuals that say that therapy doesn't work? I mean,
Oh,
Find another one, because that
yeah.
first one you tried didn't work out.
Yeah, I love that. And it's like when somebody goes to a yoga class and they don't like it, or if
Right.
they go to 12 steps or some other I mean, there's so many flavors of therapists out there. Even within a given modality, there's all sorts of different styles and stuff. Just do what works. And if it's not therapy, then do something else. You're not going to hurt my feelings. What do I care? Do what works.
Exactly.
right.
Sometimes the plumber sucks and your next turd still
Yeah.
won't go down,
Oh
but
my
we're going to
God.
find a better one after that. And with something with that, it brought me back to the beginning when Trish had mentioned the whole thing about the don't make my same mistakes. And you had mentioned weaponizing anger. And that is something that I do agree with. Don't make my mistakes. Don't weaponize that anger. Turn that into resilience. Like you said, you found your love. Don't hold back and hold this hatred that, it might not work out for me, because it always can if we're resilient about it. So that's one thing that I had to write that down to make sure that I had that in there, because I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So I have a question from one of our listeners, and
Great.
they wrote, "What happens when someone is unable to hire an expert to help them do that hard work?"
It's a great
Yeah,
question.
it
We
is.
we all come from, whether it's different financial means or geographies, where some of us might live where there are not gay friendly experts available to us. Um, And unfortunately, there's just no easy answers. We've got to get creative and tenacious. That's part of the resiliency you're just speaking of. We have got to take ownership of our lives and fight for it. So that might be, if it's a geographical issue, then that might be working online, working with somebody online. That there's lots of therapists who do it online now, especially during this pandemic. Life coaching is almost exclusively online. My life coach lives in Spain. So I mean, it's like
Yeah, right.
that but and if money is an issue, there's all sorts of creative options out there. There's all sorts of people who need credit hours who will do it at reduced rates or for free. There's all sorts of associations that will sponsor that. But unfortunately, I can't wave a magic wand and make that
Right.
challenge go away for you. You're going to
Right.
have to fight for it and get creative. But there are plenty of people out there doing that. And then in lieu of that, there are books, there's tons of free stuff online. Like on my website, I have free articles about this stuff. I have free blog posts. I post about it every day in social media. So there's a wealth of information at your fingertips if you're willing to fight for it.
Can you tell us
Absolutely.
what your website is?
Yeah, it's briteast.com, BRITTEAST.com. And that's the hub for all of my work. All my social media links are there, free articles, free podcast, blog posts, all sorts of stuff. And that's also where you can find my book.
That's amazing.
So,
Excellent.
so my last thing for you, and then I know we have one more thing we're gonna ask, but my last thing for you is: do you think there's a point in the book where if it feels like you almost want to encourage everybody within the LGBTQ community to read this book, and kind of steep their experience in, you know, sort of what you went through? Do you think that everybody in the LGBTQ plus community should read this book, and if so, why?
Absolutely. Yes, of course, I would love for everybody in our community to read this book. Now, I don't have the lived experience of every single walk of life in this community.
Right.
I'm a white, cisgendered gay man. And so that is the lived experience from which I write. Having said that, I've worked really hard. I've worked my butt off to be as inclusive as possible, and especially speak directly towards my gay brothers to clean our shit up and to address whatever biases and stigmas we're walking around with, so we can create a bigger tent and have a bigger umbrella. If you do come from those other walks of life, you're going to get so much out of it, and because so many of the themes are universal, and you're really going to get to know the mindset of a gay man. So if you have gay men in your life, you're going to really start to understand them and see them in a new light.
Do you think this would be good for parents to read?
Yeah, absolutely. The funny thing about parents is that even the most well-meaning parents rarely raise culturally gay children. And so the best antidote to any parenting is diversity.
Right.
Diversity across the board. You don't wait until you self-diagnose your kid to be gay. That's kind of a disaster waiting to happen if you're going that route. Ex- Introduce diversity from all walks of life, as much diversity as possible. It's beautiful for its own sake, and it will strengthen and embolden and empower your kids, whoever they turn out to be.
Right.
Mm.
And I mean, it's not that, that they wouldn't learn something themselves, but just the fact that they are not gay. They don't walk our walk and wear our shoes and go where we go. And so for them to understand who we are as people really is impossible. They can only read about it, and if they can foster an environment in where their child feels safe and loved and cared for, then that would open up an opportunity for them to have compassion and be able to care for someone that they may not understand, but know that, I may not understand who you are, what you're all about, but I will make sure that you are safe so that you can walk your walk and find your journey.
Yeah, empathy can only carry us so far.
Right.
And at some point it resorts to lived experience. But
Mhm.
empathy can open those doors and signal safety.
Right.
Mm.
It's like what you say to your kids, and when you're not the other to a certain extent, but what you do, they're watching like a hawk.
Oh, of
Right.
course.
Yeah.
Right.
They're like sponges.
Yes,
That's
yes.
amazing.
Absolutely. So, Britt, thank you so much for coming on. Before we let you go, I mean, we've had the honor of having you on to discuss your first published work, like something that you said was 20 years in the making, went through a speedy process to really get it out there on paper. But I mean, you're an intelligent guy. You're compassionate. This can't be it. I mean, what do we have
We hope
coming
not.
down? What do we have coming next? Like, what are the hopes? What do you inspire? As Tom would say, what do we have down the pike?
I'm already working on the sequel. I envision an entire series of Gay Man's Guides because we need it. And
Yes.
so what I'm planning to do is expand each chapter into its own book, and the next one's going to be about love.
Nice.
We
Well,
look forward to that.
That's you just literally just went up
I
his
literally
alley.
just got chills.
I know. I know.
Well, Brett, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for coming on and really sharing your first experience as a writer, as an author, published author,
Yeah.
publishing your great work. We're going to push it on our end. We'll make sure that everybody goes to BritEast.com. That's where they can get the book. Also, access a lot of information that you have compiled and put up there to help people. It's amazing and beautiful to see someone tell their story and have it be something that could help others. It's selfless and it's just amazing.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
And
You're-
when I finish it, I will rate and review.
You
As per
Oh.
usual.
as we all will. So one thing I will tell you is, which we always tell anyone that comes on our show, listen, when you reach out to us and you make it a point to come on this forum and sit with us, even though we can't be physically in the same space, obviously for obvious reasons, you're family. And so
Oh.
we want to make sure that if you have something else, you have an update on your book, something new. You want to expand on those new chapters? Let us know, because you're stuck with us now.
You're a gay
Yeah.
talker.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of us, and you're more than welcome to come on the show and let us know how you're doing. Give us an update on your book. Again, I want to congratulate you because it is an amazing, it's an amazing feat to reach when you write your first book and have it put it out there for the world.
And share a personal story.
Absolutely. And be warned, because the most persistent thing on earth is her emailing skills.
So before we let you go, very quickly, please once again tell us where they can go to communicate with you. Are you, obviously we have your website, BritEast.com. Are you on social media? Give us your Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff.
Where can they buy the book?
Sell
Yeah,
yourself.
absolutely. Absolutely. The best place to go is to my website. It has links to everything you just listed. I'm on all of the socials. You cannot get away from me. I have a blog. I'm doing podcasts all the time. And then it has a books page which will direct you to your favorite online store. This book is available from 100 different online stores, so there's really no excuse. And a lot of them are independent bookstores, so it's not like you
Awesome.
only have to go through Amazon. You can go through independent bookstores, and I'm working really hard to get it in as many local bookstores as I can. And I've gotten it into a number of them, so you can check your local bookstores as well. But really, BritEast.com is the hub. Start there, and it has the links right off that page to everywhere else you can find me.
Also, if you like his voice, which I do, you can find him on Audible as well. He has an audiobook for this book, and I like
Yes.
it.
I am the narrator, so you can hear the dulcet Barry White tones of Brit East reading his book from start to finish.
That's
Excellent.
amazing. That's awesome to know.
Yeah, that is, because Trish, we're still working on letters with her, but she'll get there eventually.
The alphabet, it's hard for me, but listening I can do.
Well, my friend, once again, I want to congratulate you and also thank you for joining us on today's episode. And you're more than welcome to join us anytime. Let us know what you're working on.
It was my pleasure. I'm huge fans of you, and I'm thrilled to be with you. Thank you.
Awesome.
It was
Thank you.
great having
Our
you.
pleasure. Have a wonderful night.
Bye.
Well, ladies and gents, that of course was Brit East. His book, A Gay Man's Guide. You have to get it. You have to go on to BritEast.com. Make sure that you go to the website, connect. One of the best things that I always say that you can do when you join us or when someone joins us on the show is connect with them, because the experience of being able to connect to a lot of the guests that we have, from Hans Hershey, for example, is life-changing. I mean, Hans is a little bitchy from time to time.
Yeah,
and we
but
love
she
her.
came to New Haven, okay?
She
so
did. She
That's
literally
true.
came all the way.
She
to
swam
the
all the way from fucking Sweden to get here.
She took me to dinner, and then I took her to Partners.
That's right. And she walked in and she was just like, yeah, this is not for me.
It was actually a Sunday night. I took the night off, and it was
Yeah.
karaoke. You were there.
Yeah, that's right. No, no, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it was great to see him. But, listen, we look at it this way. We're a show to promote our community. And so if you're an author, if you're a singer, if you are someone who just wants to help others and you want to be on the show, we're here for you because we're here to open doors and to give people voice and a space for them to share what they know and their experiences with the world, because you never know, someone's listening on the other end of that line. You could help someone, and that is our mission and that is our goal here on the show.
And luckily, I'm unemployed, so I can respond to most of the emails.
Yes. So all right. So I know that we should wrap up soon, but there are incredible stories that we had that we must talk about. I am going to forego mine this week because I feel that we need the level of exuberance that is what Nick had lined up for us. So I want you to talk about the latest in the animal kingdom.
Obviously.
Like, hello.
Thanks, Mama Kim, again, because guess what? We have more gay penguins. And I could not be happier. Literally could not be happier. I have been searching and scouring the internet lately to find something on animals and, homosexuality, but nothing's popped up.
So I have to do it, though. You keep going. You keep going.
But now, there are 2 lesbian penguins at the aquarium in Valencia, Spain. He added that long word in for me. I'm not going to say it. And they are proud parents of a newly hatched chick.
Aww.
Electra and Viola incubated and hatched
What?
an adopted egg. What's happening?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I can see it, damn it.
And that's Dookie.
Hi, Dookie.
So, Carlos Barros, who is a bird keeper at the aquarium, put one of a different couple's eggs into their nest, and they literally hatch the egg. We still don't know if it's a male or a female. We won't know for a few weeks, but we will make sure to follow up because we definitely want the name. But
It's adorable.
I know. It's the cutest little thing.
it's so adorable, and it's just wonderful. Like we always talk about, to see, just to see homosexuality in the animal kingdom. It makes as an intelligent species. Not that penguins aren't, but like
It reminds us it's natural.
exactly.
Of course.
Thank you.
You know, it
Chris.
exists in nature, and we are who we
We
are.
didn't just make this shit up.
No, it's amazing.
But one of my favorite things about this article was at the end of the article, they said, while we await for the gender reveal for the love chick of Electra and Viola.
Electra and Viola. I love those names. So the other one was Fen and the gay penguins. Remember them?
Yes, Sven. I can't remember the other one's name.
Ah,
No, Sven was the child's name. It was. Oh, we'll get there.
we'll get there.
But
So Viola and what else?
Electra and
Electra.
Viola.
Electra and Viola.
Perhaps
Okay.
it is time to make penguins the official mammal of the LGBTQP plus community.
Oh, she put the P in there.
You know what? I wouldn't be opposed to that. Penguins are absolutely gorgeous and cute.
That's right. I
And
was
they
actually
wobble.
watching about 27 minutes of like just random penguin videos this morning.
Oh,
I was just like,
God.
I look at them like when they fall over.
And then they try to get up or they fall over the ice. Yeah, that's awesome.
They're the cutest
They're
thing.
amazing. That's
You ever
awesome.
see those things leap out of the water onto a freaking glacier? It's
Mhm.
adorable.
Yeah, and especially when they're like swimming away from like killer whales.
They're fast.
They
Yeah,
are
they are.
fast.
Mhm.
Incredibly fast. So that's awesome. So I always like to hear, you know what I enjoy more? Your enthusiasm for gay animals.
Yeah, no,
Gay
I'm not an
animals.
animal person, but if they're gay, I love them.
So
Maybe perhaps one day Pat will bring home like I don't know a gay peacock or a
No, I don't want a
gay
peacock.
wombat
okay, I will
or
tell you,
something.
You're picking like every like terrible animal.
peacocks
They're
are
like loud and intense.
and they're very vicious. Okay,
Yes.
so I went to Florida,
Yeah, I've seen peacock before.
but no, have
We
you seen them
know.
in mating season? They are
Well,
vicious.
Have
stop
you seen
trying to
Chris in
fuck a
mating
peacock.
season?
That's a valid point.
No, so
Wash and repeat.
rinse and repeat. I went to Florida and stayed there for Mother's Day, and I didn't realize that it was breeding season for peacocks, and the resort that I stayed in had them all over the place, and they yell at night like crying children, like you're murdering a child. It's freaking crazy. And then if you walk by them, they sort of kind of like start getting really big and they try to display. I was like, bitch, I'm not a female
Not
peacock. You don't need to display all your feathers for me, although I know why you're doing it, because I'm gay and fabulous. Thank you. But you don't. And it's scary. It's really scary. And they like look at you and like, I don't know. They look like very pretty pterodactyls. They do. Have you ever seen a peacock's face?
I thought you were going to ask me if I've ever seen a pterodactyl. I was like, I think I saw one on Wednesday.
Yeah.
it was actually on Tuesday when we were watching Jurassic Park. So I want to wrap it up.
Okay. So before we do, would you like to, Christopher, talk about your story? No? Yes? No?
You know what? We have so much time. Not so much time, but we'll get back to it next week. We got time before November.
Well, next week it's all about the dish.
Exactly.
So we
Well,
have all the
perfect.
time in the
I
world.
have one less thing I have to say tonight. All right, cool. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll get back to that one.
All right. Well, listen, guys, I want to thank you all for tuning in, of course. There's a couple of more things that we need to do before we wrap it up. So I'm going to switch it over to my two co-hosts here because they're going to bounce off each other and do our two next segments, and then we'll bring it home.
You're doing the gay talk term today.
Oh, I'm doing the gay talk term? All right.
You
so,
chose it.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I start.
Okay. So,
All right, everybody. So guess what time it is? It's time for Mama Kim's Minute. So, number 1, gay couple's hilarious video message to the jerk who stole the pride flag goes viral. Number 2, conservatives are calling Kamala Harris a tramp now since the birther attack didn't work. Number
boo.
3, drag race's Chi Devane has reported.
Devaning.
I'm so bad.
That's
with
okay. That's
drag
okay.
race. I'm sorry. Has reportedly died.
Oh, she did.
Sad.
It's not reportedly. She passed away.
That's really
unfortunately.
sad. Number 4, the Trump administration is still denying child of same-sex parents their rights.
And that is horrible.
Yep.
You know,
Fuck Trump.
if,
Oh, it says it right on my wrist.
if anything, it's just how horrible, the reminder of how horrible this has been for members of our community and for black and brown people all over this country to have a president like the one that thinks that, he's magnificent and all of these other things that he says he is, and he's not. And it's
Meanwhile, he's just pardoning white rich people.
exactly.
He's also stupid and doesn't know what the Constitution is.
Big time. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, our gay talk term for this episode and for today is brought to you, of course, by
GayRealEstate.com.
I was going to say unicornbooty.com.
I felt it. There was like a hiccup.
I'm
there. It
always
was
waiting
like,
for you guys to change it and not tell me.
It'll happen
Especially
one
like there's
day.
that
It
one
will.
day where I'm super energetic. I'm like, GayRealEstate.com.
And we're like, no, it's actually theadvocate.com.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
something like that,
I
or
cannot
like
with him. All right, well, listen, our gay talk term for today is nibbling. Nibbling is a gender neutral term referring to a child of a sibling, replacing the term niece or nephew. And I think it's just, I was like a little apprehensive at first. I'm like, it sounds like I'm eating my nieces and nephews. But after watching something that I'm going to cover next week, I'm not going to let the story go. You'll understand why. But that's our gay
I
talk
mean,
term.
if you wanted to expand on it for like 5,
I can.
for
I
a
can
little
if you
bit.
want to.
It's
Okay.
up to you.
All right. So listen.
I just feel like it deserves it a little bit.
I will post the video on tonight's episode, actually, because I had already put it on there because I thought I was going to talk about it, but now I am. Jennifer Lopez has a transgender nibbling. Okay, niece or nephew, doesn't matter. It's gender nonconforming. Who came out recently and was struggling, and it is amazing to see how they are all so supportive of their nibbling. And it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful video. Props to Jennifer Lopez for using
100%.
her pronouns and for
And the family.
and the whole family, the aunties, the mother, making it so that this individual feels heard, feels seen, feels comfortable, and that they are amazing and beautiful and have a bright future ahead of them.
and props to the nibbling
And to the nibbling.
for being their self,
Mhm.
being true to themselves.
Yep.
It-
and being so allowing themselves to be so visible, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
Especially with a Jennifer Lopez platform. I mean, I would do it, but you know what I'm saying.
So they even said it on the platform. They were like, I'm so happy that my Titi Jen, my Titi J Lo, took the time to post that video and talk about pronouns and ensuring that I was identified how I wanted to, and it just really made me feel special and amazing and beautiful. We're gonna post a video on tonight's show, so just make sure on tonight's post, make sure that you look for it and watch it because it is endearing and absolutely amazing. So that being said,
Chris?
Yep.
What?
Okay. No. You guys don't watch South Park. Never mind. Okay. So,
no,
all right, we
no,
got
we
this.
don't.
Okay. So, on this day in gay history, brought to you, of course, by GayRealEstate.com. I'm also waiting for the day where you use it for on the gay talk term and then think like, he thinks it's the same thing. And then we go to on this day
Oh,
and
I've
you
been
change
thinking
it.
about that. but-
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
He's a
we,
bunch
we
of
actually
nasty
discussed
bitches.
that, didn't we?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So when August 24th, 1955, here in the US of A,
53. 1953.
oh shit, 53. I was reading something about the Kinsey scale, which we're going to get to, where the greatest country in the United States, the US of A, ahead of the September 1953 full release of The Sexual Behavior and Human Female, the magazine reports, quote, sets off the biggest and raciest commotion the world's press had seen in years. This is, of course, about Kinsey, who put out the report for the, I believe it was the male scale in 1948, and then 1953 is when we had the female scale, and then it leads to, of course, the heterosexual, homosexual scale, the Kinsey scale, right, which states that most people do not fall in the spectrum of 0 being completely heterosexual or 5 or 7 being completely, no, excuse me, 0 exclusively heterosexual or 6 exclusively homosexual.
I can confirm that.
It's
And
a
if
very
you're like
interesting
a
scale.
3 or 4, then
Well, 3 is equal.
yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely a 6, but I definitely know.
No, she a 12.
Multiply that by 2, please.
And she goes up at an exponential rate.
So you know when you're working with audio and it clips, that's Trish.
Mhm.
It goes over the allotted amount of time before it starts getting distorted.
So
Super
does
gay.
gay talk.
Pretty much.
Because we push in over an hour and 30.
Actually,
Okay.
no, we got an hour and 15.
I know how things work. I'm just
Yeah,
trying to make a
okay.
goddamn joke.
And a point.
Ha ha.
All right, we'll do it.
All right, well, ladies and gents, thank you so much for tuning in for today's episode. If you love the show, make sure that you go subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcasting service. By subscribing, you get the latest and greatest of our show delivered right to your favorite device or web browser as soon as our episodes are published. You can also support us on Patreon, which is a service that allows you, our listeners, to support us with a monetary donation every month. We collect those donations monthly, and they can be in any denomination of $1 or more. Christopher?
I mean, well, Trish kind of stole the thunder of this point, but next week is all about the dish.
That's
you got
right.
the 3 of us, hopefully, maybe the 4? No? 3? 4?
We don't know yet.
We don't know
So-
yet. There's a nice plastic chair here if anyone would like to join. I didn't notice this the entire show.
Well, I took the other chair upstairs because, now we're working from home, so I needed something comfortable to sit in. So I took one of the desk chairs and brought it upstairs.
Awesome. So, yes, next week, definitely tune in. It's going to be a lot of commotion, a lot of banter,
We
but
have
a lot of.
to cover. We didn't even
Yeah.
touch the DNC, so.
Oh, yes.
And
that's right.
also, thank you for saying that. Please, please, please do not turn to any high-ranking news stations for the next 3 days between the hours of 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. Boycott the RNC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Da.
I will watch what I want to watch at a later date.
She ain't gonna watch it anyway.
I mean, we're going to get news clips anyway, like on
But
Facebook.
don't give them the
and-
fucking ratings.
No, of course not. I'm not watching DNC, National Convention, whatever you want to forget.
RNC.
RNC.
All right, so thank you to our guest, Britt East, author of A Gay Man's Guide to Life. We will have all the information for his book on our post tonight. And don't forget, everybody, get your discount today for the future method. Each time you clean out with water or enemas, delicate tissues are harmed and cells are damaged, increasing chances of injury and or STDs.
Correct.
The first of its kind doctor-developed formula that gently cleanses before you play without hurting your bum. And now you can get it using code GayTalk20 for 20% off one purchase or